or a laptop?
I'm on an iPad.
Oh, is anyone on
And
a
so if I
phone?
touch
Kim,
it-
are you on a phone?
Yes, and that's what I was asking her, what kind of phone she has.
Okay,
I've
you
got
do.
a Samsung smartphone and it's smarter than I am.
Maybe
Well,
it's
I
not
don't know.
smart.
I don't know. I have an iPhone, so I don't know.
We're now live on YouTube recording too, by the way.
Oh, thank
So
you.
we look very intelligent, don't we?
How do you know here?
Thanks, Darren.
Anytime.
I see it now, live on YouTube. Come on, Joey.
Joe, can you hear us yet? Nope.
Joe says connecting to audio, and now
Yeah.
there's a check mark.
Hear me now?
Hear us?
Yeah.
Hey, hello, everybody.
Hi,
Hi,
Joe.
we've been talking to you.
I know.
We can
I
hear
couldn't
you.
get my audio to work, but it seems to be working now.
Well, Janet's now looking at the table or something.
Did you let Matt off?
Kim, I'm watching you right now.
No.
Where's
now
your
it's-
table, Janet?
What is that on your table, Janet?
I've got a plate with a rabbit on it.
That's what we see.
I see Sonia
Do you have
now.
a mirror? Maybe you could look at a mirror.
Turn your phone backwards.
Yeah.
There you go.
You can't
My
see us,
phone
though.
is, my phone is backwards now.
But you can't see us.
No. I see Sonia. I see Joe.
I'm getting sick.
Joe, I have a question for you, please.
For who?
For you.
Okay.
The application 21, that's my next door neighbors. Is there an issue with me participating in that vote or not?
I think as long as you don't have a financial interest in the property or the application, I think you should be fine.
Okay. I just
And
wanted
run
to
that
make
by
sure. No, she's not paying me.
Okay, I think you should be fine.
All right, good.
Okay, I'm
There's
on
a,
camera.
Where is Charlie?
I don't know, he better show up.
It's actually gonna be late like Charlie always is.
He comes sliding in hot.
He was early last month. He was like the third one on.
Joe, this is Janet. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, when are we gonna be able to start back the courthouse?
Well, starting the 29th of June, we can meet with up to groups of up to 50. So we could do it next month.
You mean the 29th of July?
June. So we could, yeah,
So we could have
I'm
had
just-
this one.
possibly, but it's a big agenda, so
Oh,
we
okay.
could have
all right.
possibly done it, but we had already pre-planned to do the Zoom. I
Well,
think,
let's see if we can pre-plan today to put it on the agenda to do it in the courthouse next month.
yes, I
about
think we
that?
could do that.
All right.
Here's Charlie. Hello, Charlie.
Hey, Charlie.
He can't hear us.
Nope, we see you talking.
We know you're talking, but we can't hear you.
I can't see him.
I can't see him either.
I can see him,
I
but
see him, but he's muted.
now I can see his lips moving, but
Come on, Charlie.
Call Janet.
That's not a good idea.
well, we can see and hear her, but we can't hear you, Charlie.
We're getting chat too from the panelists.
Yeah, we are. We're getting chat from the panelist.
Yeah. We're having Jay is doing the hosting, so he'll respond to them.
Okay. You think I should ask Charlie about the neighbor situation, Joe, or not worry about it?
About the what?
My neighbor situation, do I need to pass that to Charlie or not?
Yeah, let's go ahead and run that by him when he gets going.
Okay.
So Joe, do we have you from here on out, or do we get Matt, or?
Well, you're gonna get Matt most likely, but Matt's, his wife had a doctor's appointment. She's due to deliver their first baby tonight, I think.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So he's gonna be out for at least a couple weeks. So you may have me next month or
Tell-
for a couple months.
Tell Matt that is no excuse at all.
I will tell him.
That's exciting. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Charlie, are you on here?
Am I there now?
Yay!
Yay, Charlie.
Charlie?
It gave me an opportunity to bow out. I should have taken it.
Okay, good. I can't, oh, there you are.
Charlie, I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
One of the applications is my next door neighbor. Is there an issue with that?
If you answer yes to either question, then yes, there's an issue. Are you going to have some sort of monetary gain or loss depending upon this decision today?
No.
Are you going to be able to decide the thing fairly based on the facts, regardless of whether he or she's your neighbor?
Yes.
Then no, you don't have an issue with this.
All right. Just want to make sure.
You might want, once we've pulled everybody in, if they're not already in, we might say that on the record. But if
Okay.
everybody's in and we've already said it, then I'll just put it in the minutes.
All right. I think everybody's here. So
Okay.
All right. Are you ready to go, Joe? You think?
Yes, I think I'm ready.
Okay. The Scott County Board of Adjustment meeting for July 2020 will begin, and we need approval of the June 4th, 2020 minutes. If I hear a motion to accept the minutes,
Yes, I'll make a motion to accept the June 2020 minutes.
do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Minutes approved. Then Charlie, will you swear in the panelists as they speak? Is that
Yes,
how you
ma'am.
want to do this?
No, yes, ma'am, as they come up.
Okay, then that'll take us to the old application of S 2020-10 for the Morgan Manor Homeowners Association applying for a variance.
Okay. Can
And Joe,
everybody hear me?
yes,
Okay. Matt prepared these staff reports, but I'm gonna go through them. I'm pretty familiar because I went through them earlier today, but I'll just
Okay.
summarize the request and the staff recommendation, and then I'll
Yeah.
turn it over to the applicants. Jay Ferris, our GIS coordinator, is hosting the meeting. So when it's the time for the applicants to speak, he will bump them up to participants and they'll be allowed to speak,
okay,
just for those people out there watching. Okay. Jay's controlling the PowerPoint, so Jay, go ahead and move it forward if you can. Okay. Anybody that's watching that's an applicant that wants to participate, or anybody that wants to speak on any application, when it gets to time, just raise your hand. There's a bar on the Zoom, at the bottom of the Zoom screen, that you can click on raise your hand. So at the appropriate time, you can do that. Okay, Jay, go ahead. This first application is a request for a variance for a subdivision entrance sign. It's at Frankfurt Pike and Morgan Manor Drive. I think it's Morgan Manor Estates, but I'm not completely sure. I think that's the name of the subdivision. There's an HOA lot, a narrow, skinny lot at the entrance. That area is still zoned A1, so it still has 50-foot setbacks. So basically any sign they want to put in that location the sign ordinance requires it to be behind the setback line. So any sign's going to require a variance, but this location they want to put it is just, I believe it's just one sign on the left-hand side of the entrance in a narrow HOA lot. Need a setback variance of 30 feet along Frankfurt Pike and 9.5 feet along Morgan Manor Drive, which is the entrance to the subdivision. We don't see any issues. It is an undersized, irregular lot, and it would be impossible to meet the setbacks. There are similar many subdivisions, if not most, that have entrance signs. The county sign ordinance hasn't been updated to address subdivision entrance signs in many years. So this 50-foot setback is not really reasonable in many instances. I think many subdivisions can meet it if they're far enough off the road, but in this case they can't. So we are recommending approval of this variance.
Joe, what about the situation with KU? Are we okay on that?
They can probably answer that themselves. I think they were working with KU on an easement, if that's correct. I think they've worked that out, but they'll have to answer that.
Okay.
That's all I had from a staff perspective.
Is the applicant participating at this time? Would you like to speak?
Jay, can you bump up the applicant if they're in attendance? You can close the PowerPoint, Jay, if you want, if you need to.
It shows that Fake Cole is here, and it
Okay,
shows that
you
her
may need to
mic is
unmute.
on.
Fate, can you hear us? You may need to unmute your microphone. Jay, can you unmute her?
She is unmuted.
They're
Okay.
typing,
He's typing.
have an agreement. Yeah, they're typing it.
Fate, can you not use your speaker? I don't know, her audio might not be working.
She can hear, but she can't speak. And she does have an agreement with LGEKU.
Yeah, and she has no camera anyway, so.
Right. Do
I
any of
guess
you
that
have
means-
questions of her?
No, I just think
I do
that
not.
I think that would make would add character to that subdivision.
Yes.
If I could do one thing, and that's swear them, Ms. Cole in, and then that plus the recommended approval, we perhaps can move on from there. Ms.
Okay.
Cole, if you could raise your right hand, and I'll take your word for that. And do you swear or affirm the information you've given the board to be the truth to the best of your information and belief? Thank you.
All right. So I'll accept a motion regarding this application.
I'll make a
Okay, this is
motion.
Janet.
What's that? Did you beat me, Janet?
Well, I think
Go
Mike.
ahead.
Hey,
Go ahead.
All right, I'll make a motion. We approve S-2020-10 based upon the staff recommendations.
And I'll
do I have a
second.
second?
I'll
We
second.
have- So we have a motion and a second. Are we all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes. What?
Okay, moving on. We ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
The
We'll do-
audio is really bad today. I don't know what's going on.
So we
Garbled
approve
on my
20
end. I will move on. The next application is application S 2020-19.
Yes.
It's a request for a variance to reduce the side and rear yard setbacks. Front yard setback from 50 feet to 26 feet. In rear yard setback from 50 feet to 30 feet for a home addition at 473 Burton Pike. This is a undersized lot on Burton Pike, existing house. They want to add on the back. Matt was telling me when they first applied, they were just asking for a side setback, but when he looked at the plat itself, they had measured the lot depth based on the property line going to the center line of Burton Pike. So by remeasuring the distance and the size of the existing house, he also determined that they're going to need a setback to the rear line from 50 to 30 feet. So the original application was just a side yard setback, but he added in the rear yard setback because they're going to need that as well to do the addition. It's an undersized lot. It's a little over half an acre. It's an older grandfathered lot with an existing house. A lot that kind of meets our special circumstances, just that it's smaller than our normal 5-acre A1 lot. So a 50-foot setback restricts any expansion of the house. In addition, in order to expand, they need to expand in this location, basically. So staff is recommending approval based on the lot being undersized and for the district and the 50 feet being impossible to meet with any addition to the existing house. The staff is recommending approval. And this is the image. This is basically this. You can see how small the lot is. Burton Pike's a state road. State has, if not actual dedicated right of way, at least reserved right of way and prescriptive right of way at the blue line. So even though the lot goes to the center of the road, in theory, in their deed, the state has rights to that blue line. So that's where we're measuring the actual lot width from the depth of the lot, rather. So that's why they need the rear setback too, variance.
Okay. Did you have
That's all.
any communication from neighbors or anything regarding this?
We didn't get any, I didn't hear from Matt that we got any neighbors opposing. I believe they own the remainder, the surrounding land. I think the applicants own it too, but I'm not
Okay.
100% sure of that.
I see.
They did do the notices though.
Do you all have any questions of the applicant?
Charlie, do you see any problems with it, with this application?
No, thank you. Do not.
Okay.
The applicant should be here. If Jay, you want to push them forward?
What would their name be? I'm not seeing anyone, any Hendricks in the
Hendricks.
attendees.
Ed or Phyllis Hendricks.
The only names that I don't recognize on the attendees are Elmo Richardson, Philip Lawson, and Robert Richardson that don't regard the other projects.
The applicant is here. Can you click the raise your hand button?
No hands being raised yet.
Okay. Can everybody hear me still?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. They may have had trouble getting on. I'm not sure. Seem to be having difficulty with the audio on my end. I know. We don't see any issues with the variance. If you, Charlie may want to weigh in. You can approve it, or you can wait. You can, I guess, postpone it if they're not here.
You certainly can, but on the other hand, we've got a solid recommendation, no complaints, no opposition. I don't know of any reason why this would necessitate being on the agenda again.
Then I'll accept a motion for 2020-19.
I'll move that we approve application S 2020-19 for the variance to the rear and side setback, taking into account the staff recommendations.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those approve?
Aye.
2020-19 is approved.
Okay.
And Joe, you want to go to the next?
Sure. Yep.
Thank
And for
you.
all those the applicants out there, we send out a notice, a letter of notification after the meeting to let them know that the decision of the board, so they'll get that.
All right,
Okay,
thank
the next application is S 2020-20. AFIX is the applicant. It's a request to modify a previously approved conditional use permit for a lawn care and snow removal company at 390 Haynes Depot Road. This is a business that, a location that had a business for a long time. I think it's Al's Lawn Care came in 2014, I believe. They had taken over the location for their business. They came in, we required them to come in and get a conditional use permit. I think the previous business was lawfully non-conforming industrial business, but they came to the board in 2014 for a conditional use permit. We've required landscaping businesses to get conditional use permits in the county since 1988 at least. They're ag-related businesses. They're not permitted, but they have determined that they need a conditional use permit. Is basically how they've been treated in the past. So they came in 2014 and were approved. For a conditional use permit, they submitted a development plan that went to Planning Commission staff and was approved. The conditional use permit basically was limited to the extent of the business at that time. Sometime earlier this year, they bought some dilapidated houses at the front of their property. They tore them down, cleaned up the area, and they added a parking lot for staff and employees to park. This is basically an expansion of the conditional use permit. So we got a call about it. We went out and looked, and yeah, they extended beyond what was previously approved. So I wrote them a letter, told them they needed to come back to Board of Adjustment to expand their conditional use permit basically to the new extent of the business. It's essentially a cleanup of the area. In 2014, the main issue we had with it was parking on the street. They were parking a lot of their employees close to the street and along the railroad right away. So one of the main conditions at that time was that they moved their employee parking back off adjacent properties and onto their property. It was approved with some other conditions. One, that they submit a development plan, and that they meet all other federal, state, and local regulatory requirements, which include their gas pump tanks, that they protect those from any spillage, that they meet all state and federal requirements on those. Basically, that they keep their parking on their property and they improve their property to allow the parking on site. I think there were some other stipulations that they add landscaping around a portion of their property. And then I guess the other main condition at that time that they weren't going to be allowed retail sales as part of the conditional use permit. So basically with their new application, they're adding parking where one of these houses was torn down. They've added some parking in the rear as well. There's some parking back behind their main building that I don't think was there in 2014. So with this application, we are still recommending approval. I think it's an improvement to the area. I think the use is one that is allowed in the county as a conditional use permit. But we are asking that they come back with an amended development plan that shows the new parking areas in the new expansion areas, and they take that through Planning Commission for approval, which will likely include some landscaping and screening requirements around the parking lot, since that's part of our subdivision development regulations. So we are recommending approval. We're carrying through a lot of the conditions that were in the previous conditional use permit, in adding, I guess, a new one, that they obtain a new development plan approval from the Planning Commission. So those are the 9 conditions in the staff report, and we are, as I said, recommending approval.
All right, thank you. Is the applicant present?
Yes, ma'am.
Does the remainder of the board have questions? Applicant?
Let me swear the witness in, please.
Oh, that's right, I forgot, sorry.
Do you swear or affirm the statement you're about to make are the truth to the best of your information and belief?
Yes, sir.
And your name again, please?
Alan Sweeney.
Alan Sweeney, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you all have questions of Alan?
Yes, Alan, is there any above ground storage tanks now for petroleum?
There's our fuel tanks, and we actually worked with EP after the 2014 conditional use. We went in and had everything inspected and worked with EPA. We actually ended up moving them, and so yeah, they're screened and under roof and then under all vented. Everything is taken care of, but they are still there. But we've not added any more since 14.
Okay. Well, you've sure made a tremendous improvement in that little community. It's beautiful out there now. It doesn't look like the same place. You've done
Well, I
very
appreciate
good with that.
Thank you. Well, it wasn't. I mean, it was the Richardson. I think he's on there, and Katie Rich, all of us together. It came a long way. So I apologize. We missed a step in this process. And actually, I know we'll get that development plan if this gets approved. But and I could share a screen. We took some pictures. We actually did screen all the parking lots. So I think with landscape screening and then fence and stuff. So I think everything that you're looking for as far as the landscape and that development plan's already in as part of that. But we still want to put that through as you would like.
All right, do we have anybody that wants to speak regarding this?
We
Any
have
intent-
one raised hand, and that is Philip Lawson.
Okay. Charlie, do you want to swear him in?
Yes. Mr. Lawson, do you swear or affirm the statements you're about to make to be the truth to the best of your information and belief?
Yes, Charlie. Hey, this is Philip Lawson. I'm an attorney with True Garnerian Air in Frankfort, Kentucky. I think Charlie now recognizes who I am.
Welcome to Scott County.
Yes, good to see you again, Charlie. I'm an attorney, like I said, from True Garnerian Air in Frankfort, Kentucky. I actually represent Mr. Greg Plunkett, who is a property owner for 368 Paynes Depot Road, which, as you can see on the map there, is kind of on the other side of the train tracks from that back parking lot. So can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Let me see here. Let me start my video too. Looks like you can see me now. All right, here we go. So Mr. Plunkett came to me and has retained me on this particular application to raise some issues regarding Mr. Sweeney's, I guess, conditional use expansion that I was hoping to bring to the board's attention. First off, I spoke with Mr. Matt Summers on this matter. One of the issues we had with is the zoning of actually the 3 pieces of property that were purchased, bulldozed, and then that began the parking lot. Our understanding is that that area is not actually A1, but R1B. So, our position is we would object to, the parking lot because a parking lot is not permissible for an R1B. So we wanted to raise that issue with the board and bring it to the board's attention. Also, the main motivation for Mr. Plunkett and during all this has been that back parking lot and general sprawl with this business. As you can see from this picture that's on the screen here, that at least I'm looking at, and I'm assuming the board can see as well, Mr. Plunkett owns that piece of property, 368 Paynes Depot, right across the train tracks from that back parking lot. And we have pictures, we have videos of heavy equipment coming in daily, day in, day out, in the morning, starting at 6 in the morning and runs for as long as 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. I've also spoken with the owner of that current piece of property, which is actually Kentucky Bank, the former owners of the Forester. And, they're raised a concern just like us that here we go, we got, this business now sprawling into property that actually doesn't belong to them. We have reason to believe that back parking lot that's causing a lot of issue is actually part of Kentucky Bank's property. And additionally, the other thing we wanted to raise with the board in terms of our concerns is, we have this general sprawl, we have more parking lot coming in, we have great expansion of this business, and yet we still, from what we can tell from our point of view, from the 2014 letter, that Mr. Sweeney has not complied with those conditions, particularly regarding the fence inside vehicles inside the yard, the access easement into that farm that's now owned by Kentucky Bank, as well as the berm issue, as well as the landscape screening of the Salt Dome and the adjoining farmhouse. So we're just very concerned and oppose any kind of additional increase in sprawling, because ever since this has been going on, and Mr. Plunkett could certainly testify more if the board wants to hear from him, he's present in my office, it's just been a nightmare.
May I ask a quick question, Mr. Lawson, if I can?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, area below that you're speaking of, obviously I can see some type of equipment sitting down below what's the red dotted line, which is the proposed site, the site itself. Is that general parking that Mr. Sweeney is using down through there? Where are the fuel tanks located and excess? Is that heavy equipment sitting down there? What is the general use of that right now is I guess what I'm asking for.
Are you talking about the area directly across from Mr. Plunkett's property?
I am, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So Mr. Plunkett, he's actually here, and I'll repeat. And Mr. Plunkett, please, you may have to be sworn in by Mr. Perkins, but once you come on over here, from my understanding is it's heavy equipment, it's lawnmowers, it's backhoes, it's work trucks, and it comes in the mornings, early mornings, 6:30. It comes in even late at night, causing all kinds of noise. And again, if Mr. Dillo, I believe is your name, correct, Mr. Dillo?
Yes.
I actually have Mr. Plunkett here that can provide a little bit more illustration on that point if you hear from him.
Yeah, Charlie, do you want to swear him in?
Yes.
My seat.
Yeah.
Greg,
I'm
do
here.
you swear or affirm the statement you're about to give to be the truth to the best of your information and belief?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So this lot that's right across the tracks from me is approximately 50 or 60 feet from my front porch. That's where they park all of their lawnmower trailers and trucks every night. So beginning about 6:30 in the morning, I've got people over there getting these trucks and trailers, and they pull them down in the lot. They unload their mowers. They're starting all their mowers and checking them and checking the oil. And then you've got them loading mulch with skid steers. You've got backup beepers. You got that going on until about 8:30 or so when they're all gone. Then they use it for turnaround for trucks that come and go during the day. But then about between 5 and dark, these trucks and trailers all come back in at night. So any kind of privacy that we had afforded, we are 1,500 feet off the road. If you look at that map, is gone. The noise, the dust from the trucks turning around and such. And then another issue that comes up, Alan does snow removal during the winter. So we've got trucks and cars and skid steers, people coming and going, flashing lights, all this stuff goes on completely around the clock when they have a snow event. So at 3 in the morning, you're trying to sleep. You've got trucks down there being loaded with salt, things banging and crashing, flashing lights going 50 feet off my front porch. It's not what I signed up for. That parking lot was never supposed to be there. He hasn't met the conditions of the other part of the permit, and I don't want any expansion.
And I can speak to some of that whenever you would like.
You go right ahead.
Okay, so the area that he's discussing in question, wanted to speak to the attorney's question. We don't own a backhoe. We don't own heavy equipment. We're a landscape company. So what's back there is trucks, trailers, and mowers, as we spoke, because under the original condition, everything that we parked equipment-wise needed to be inside our gate, which that is inside the gate. And so what Mr. Plunkett is referring to as far as not meeting the previous development plan is actually incorrect. So the previous development plan asked us to screen the property that's now owned by Kentucky Bank that was across the creek, because at that time, that previous owner had some questions with it, as well as Mr. Nardelio across the street there. At the time, Mr. Plunkett liked us, and so didn't raise any issue. And so there was no screen in the development plan along his side of the tracks there. In the last 12 months, Mr. Plunkett has decided that he's not in that agreement anymore. So he's raised a concern that he wants a screen across, his corner there. But from the time of 2014, that area's been in there. And the crews do come in early. They come in probably 7 o'clock. There may be some get in 6:30, but we actually pulled down to our fuel tanks that if you see the 390 in the front of the picture, the middle, do their service. Actually, at the back of that building is where our mulch is. That's where our salt bin is. Straight across from it is where the pine evergreen screen is. And there's actually a filtration that was part of the original plan. There's also the easement that goes into the Kentucky Bank property that's still there. In fact, we actually made it. We put a retaining wall up to keep good access for that farm. So all those items are still intact. Everything as far as the conditional use is still intact. I do understand, vehicles come and go early, and in the spring, there may be some later evenings, but now we work 4 days a week. So Monday through Thursday. So we're not in there year round, around the clock, coming and going. And so I think there may be a little bit of embellishment on the times and the noise and in that area.
Can I speak again?
Let me ask this. In the layout that we're looking, it's highlighted in red.
Yes,
This
ma'am.
is the property that you own and operate.
So
Yes.
it's my understanding that it is. So when you and everybody that's surveyed has trouble because they go back and the survey goes to pins that were a tree in the corner and this and that. So if you actually pull the deeds from out there, it's really, really tough to survey. So I'm actually in the process of having all that resurveyed, and they're trying to get it repinned. And then because it's, even from the deed and from our original ownership, everything is showing, there's a fence at the back of those trailers and it's showing it go back to there, what they can read. But some of the original deed property descriptions are hard to determine. So they're really having to measure to get the full picture, the same as they did with 389, 405, 375 when we bought them. There was trouble determining that. And then if you notice, like the red dips down to the creek where we picked up, I guess it was the 1.24 acres, but we're also in the process of rolling the other two in that are in R1B. And when we spoke with Michaela, she was very much about that because they're undersized lots. And if we leave them in an R1B in a residential, then it becomes an issue for you guys later on if somebody tries to come back and do that. So we're actually trying to bring all that together into one development piece of property for you. So then there's no question.
And Joe, back to when you presented this to us, he has conformed with all the 2014 requirements?
I think the one in question is number 8. Storage of miscellaneous plows, spreaders, or related landscape equipment and materials shall be inside a building or screened from the road. I think they were screened from the road. I mean, it sounds like it, but not screened from the adjoining not screened from the railroad. So I don't know if you want to add, additional screening, you can. But I mean, it appears to me it meets the conditions as they're, the literal condition.
Okay.
Could I ask a question, please?
Sure.
I know we've got a question as to the ownership of the back lot. The original application that was approved in 14, that back lot was not included at all, correct?
I don't think it was. Let me pull the file.
Because if it was not included, then of course it had no screening to the Plunkett property. There might have been a general Plunkett requirement or a general requirement of screening, but it wouldn't have been specific to Plunkett because that wasn't part of the application. Everything else was probably required to be screened. So prior to anything, well, first off, anything being added needed to have come before the board, but I can't imagine anything being added not having full screening. This is not the kind of thing that ordinarily should be in that area. And that's what the board always does, is put screening in to make it fit in the existing area.
Jay, Charlie, Jay, can you advance the slide? I put in the development plan from 2014 in the PowerPoint. Jay, can you move to the next slide?
It's showing the next slide on mine. It may just be taking a second. The internet connection is also very unstable, it says.
Yeah. I think maybe it's the one after this.
Yeah, because Mr. Kane, there was some screening up there, and yeah, you can see it. There's some landscape up in that area. See, it's showing it on this, whereas it's part of us. So we did that landscape screening up past it, but again, it was for the Kentucky Bank property, nothing on the railroad side.
There, okay. This is the development plan that was approved in 2014.
But the long extension does not have a parking lot on it, correct?
No, it's just labeled yard. I don't know if they were parking there or not. I'm not sure.
That's what I'm saying. If it was not a parking lot, then it probably would not have had any screening on it. If it had been approved for a parking lot, that's when you add the screening. So that's,
yeah, they did add, you could see, Charlie, there is some screening on the east side. There's some trees added there.
Yeah, it was parking area. I mean, we didn't use it as heavy as we use it now. It was just miscellaneous storage area back there.
Well, the plan doesn't say that. I mean, unless maybe one of the notes does, but the plan does not show that. Anyway, that's my only question.
Okay, Charlie, what do you suggest that we do.
Well, it bothers me that there was no parking lot there. There is one now, but there's still a question 6 years later about who owns the property. I'm not suggesting that the applicant doesn't own it. I would imagine he probably does if he's been using it. But if they're in the process of determining that, it seems like that needs to be determined prior to you approving its further use.
That's kind of what I thought.
So I'm with Charlie, and can we go back just a couple slides to where the red outline was? Because I think Kim brought up a really good question. Thank you very much for did that. But I think Kim brought up a really good question. And the problem is, Alan, you're going to have to go for a development plan in front of planning and zoning. And Charlie, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't even think that can be done until they establish what property he owns.
I think that's true. Or either that or a contract on it, some property interest in it. Yes, sir.
I don't think we can until we know what property boundaries actually do and do not exist. I think for me, it's more of a continuation than it is a full yes or no until we have all the facts and figures in place. I mean, there's valid concerns on that back parking lot just because, one, it's not outlined for anybody at this point. So it's hard to make a determination, yes or no, until we have all the facts.
Darren, I agree with you. I see no use to sit here and discuss what needs to be done or not done until we see if it's even an issue.
Alan, if I can ask you a question, you said you were having that surveyed and pinned correctly. Is that
Yeah, and it's just, we're in process of, but I can speed it up. Yes, sir.
I think that would probably be beneficial for everybody involved, personally.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Rather than have to do, rather than just let him come back when he's finished that, if we could continue perhaps this meeting to a date certain so we don't have to send new notices and that sort of thing. But within a period of time in which Alan believes he can get that done, then we can come back with the information we need and be very specific in the board's vote.
All right, so based on Charlie's recommendation, then we'll postpone this application, or how do you want to
just continue this hearing?
Continue
to a date certain. And how long, Mr. Sweeney, do you think it would take to get your surveying finished?
I would hope sooner than later, but the way they are having to measure it, I mean, I would think 30 days, but if we did 60, that probably buys enough time to make sure they can get it right and everything's good, if you're okay with that.
Very good. In that case, I'd suggest we continue this hearing 60 days to the September meeting. And that would give you plenty of time to get the surveying finished.
All right, so 2020-20 postponed till September.
Continue.
Continue, sorry, excuse me. Charlie, you're writing it down, you say it.
Mr. Perkins, what was that specific date again for the hearing?
It would be the first Thursday, Phil.
First Thursday, excellent. Of September. All right. Thank you to Mr. Perkins. Thank you to the board for your time and attention.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
They'll be in touch with you. All right, then, Joe, we want to move on to 2020-21.
We do have one person with a raised hand.
Oh,
Two people now with a raised hand. And that is
sorry.
Tom Hendricks and Robert Richardson.
Charlie, would you like to swear them in? Hendricks is from the application we approved.
What applications are they on? Because that's not the name of the application.
Richardson is on this one.
Oh, on the AFIX?
Yes.
These two just raised their hands.
Oh, okay. Very good. And what are their names again?
Tom Hendricks.
He is on the one we already approved.
Okay, that's all I needed to know. I was having an internet connection problem.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Yeah, Mr. Kane will send you the information in the mail but we did approve it.
Thank you very much, the board.
All
You're
right.
welcome.
Thank you.
And who is the other person?
And the other is Robert Richardson.
Robert Richardson.
Mhm.
And are you here on the AFIX or the next application, Hines?
It looks like his mic is muted.
He's
Oh,
listed on the AFIX.
Charlie, he's one of the neighbors on AFIX.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. In that case, Mr. Richardson, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Oh, Mr. Richardson?
Yes, I live at the 430 Paynes Depot Road.
All right, one second. Let me get you sworn in, please.
Okay.
Do you, please raise your right hand. And do you swear or affirm the statements you're about to give are the truth to the best of your information and belief?
I do.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, I'm the one that we kind of worked, we had bought some of that corner and we worked, together with Alan and Katie Rich Farms. And I'm the one that built the house at 430 Paynes Depot Road. And,
Yes.
about the back lot, I don't have, much information or anything on that, but I feel like I would be the most directly affected house in that area next to the parking lot. And,
Are you talking about the
we've
front
been there
parking lot?
for a few months now. and
Excuse me,
there's
I'm trying to
no-
do excuse me, Mr. Richardson, I'm trying to do the minutes. So if you could be a little more specific, are you talking about the front parking lot?
Yes, correct.
Very good.
There
Thank
was mention about the traffic and the noise and the dust and so on and so forth.
Are you still there?
Yes.
So you don't have an issue with the parking lot? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
Correct. And, as I say, and as we live there, the noise is not an issue. It's the dust. It's just that none of that's an issue. And, I really give Alan a lot of credit because he's done a lot of work and cleaned that up. And everybody knows what that corner had looked like and what it looks like now.
Yeah.
I think he's done a great job. And like I said, I think I'm the most directly affected house on that corner from that. And, there is no issue.
All right. We appreciate your input. But what is the word I'm supposed to say, Charlie? Continued it until
Continue.
September?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So we'd like for you to come back in September when we review it again. Is that all right with you, Mr. Richardson?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any other comments?
No comments from any participants.
Okay. So then we need to move on to 2020-21.
Okay, we ready? We're moving on.
I think so.
Okay, hopefully everybody can hear me. My audio is so garbled. I don't even know what's happened the last 20 minutes, but I will
We
go.
heard you.
Yet.
Hear you.
Okay. The next application is S 2020-21. It's an application for a variance to reduce the side yard setback from 50 feet to 36 feet for a detached garage at 322 Viley Lane. Again, this is another rural residential lot that's irregularly shaped. It's very long and narrow, and it drops off in the rear. I think the applicants have a like a carport on the side of the property now, near where they want to put this garage / workshop. They've submitted a letter from the neighbor that the neighbor has no issues with it. Essentially, we are recommending approval based on the fact that it's a narrow, irregularly shaped lot in a garage in the location. The only logical location with the drop off in the rear and the driveway where it is pretty much in the location where they want to put it. They're asking for the smallest variance to accomplish what they need to do with their garage. So we are recommending approval of the variance from 50 feet to 36 feet on the side yard. And I do have a image of the lot. Here it is.
Is the applicant present?
They are present. It looks like their microphone is muted.
Does anyone on the board have any questions or discussion?
Just had the one letter, Joe, from surrounding neighbors. There was no other comments or concerns that you know of.
The letter is from the neighbor at 318, so it's on the side that they want to put the garage. Did you get it in your staff report?
Yes, that's the only
Or
one.
in your
we had.
packet, sorry.
Yes, that was a positive comment on that, but there was nobody that had any other concerns.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
Okay, well, you just had the one letter from one neighbor, the adjoining neighbor, and they were in agreement with the variance.
Yes, we just got one letter.
Okay,
So it looks to me, if 318 is, they're the ones that wrote the letter that are not, that don't have a problem with it, correct?
right.
Which is on the, yeah, that's the side where they want to build the garage, and 318 looks like they have, it looks like a detached barn or building back there as well. You know, I mean, it seems like it fits in with the landscape from what I can tell.
Mike, I can speak to that. I'm actually the neighbor on the other side. And
Okay,
there's that behind 318, there's a horse barn there. And so actually by
Right.
building the garage at the 322, they are removing that little carport awning where their camper currently sits. So they are actually moving off the line by building the garage.
oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it looks like it would fit in with what's going on. That's what I guess I'm getting at.
Yeah, because they back up buildings on both sides of that fence
Right.
anyway, on your cars.
Right, right.
Okay, is the applicant able to speak yet?
Yes.
Hi. Mr. Perkins would like to swear you in.
Mr. Hines, do you swear or affirm the statement you're about to make to be the truth to the best of your information and belief?
I do.
Thank you.
Mr. Hines, do you have anything that you'd like to share that we don't already have before us regarding this?
I think you've pretty much covered it all.
Okay. Do I have a motion from a member of the board to approve?
Yes, this is Janet. I'll make the motion to approve application number S-2020-21 the Patrick and Bernice Hines application to approve for the variance for the side yard setback from 50 feet to 36 feet at 322 Valley Lane, and to be in accordance with staff recommendations.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I'll second.
All right, have two. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries for approval of 2020-21. And you'll be receiving information from Planning and Zoning Board of Adjustments.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Then we're ready for other S 2018-17. Joe, are you ready to explain this one to us?
Okay. You ready for the last? Okay. The last application is S 2018-17. Again, it's another request for a variance for a detached garage. Can I go forward?
Yes. Do you hear me?
Continue? I can't hear.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Joe.
This is an older application. You previously approved, the board previously approved a variance for a garage in the rear yard, but it conflicted with the septic system drain field. So they've had to, or they're going to have to, if approved, move the garage all the way to the back of the property. Again, this is a narrow lot in Oxford Village. I think the lot, we have a drawing, a survey of the lot. I think it's only like 80 feet wide. So they're going to have to move it all the way to the back of the lot and get a variance to both sides and to the rear, I believe. Okay, here's the survey. So they're asking for 2 side and a rear setback variance, 22 to reduce to 22 feet in the rear, 17 on the west side, and 29 on the east side. And that's to get it back beyond the drain field, the septic system drain field. Again, like the others, this is an undersized, irregularly shaped, undersized lot. In order to utilize it for purposes similar to adjoining properties, they need a variance to build this garage. We're recommending approval with 3 conditions of approval. The main one being that they get a building permit for the building.
And did you hear from any neighbors?
I'm sorry.
Did you hear any replies from the neighbors that were notified?
We did. They did do notices. We didn't get any. We did feedback from the neighbors, as far as I know.
Okay.
Does the health department have to, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Does the health department or anybody have to, I mean, it's a strange place for a garage. And you have to, if the drain field is between the house and the garage, you're going to be driving over your drain field and possibly your tank. It doesn't show, you know, we don't know where the tank is, but I was just curious if anybody has to, you know, I've always been told you don't want to drive over your drain field a lot. And if you're going to put a garage back there, seems like there'll be a lot of driving over your drain field. It's just, I'm just curious, really.
The applicant is on the screen, and I'm not
Okay.
sure that we hear him. Charlie, do you want to swear him in?
Hello?
Yes. Mr. Rivera,
Yes, sir.
do you swear or affirm the statement you're about to give to be the truth to the best of your information and belief?
I do.
Thank you.
If you'll explain to us what your plan is, and then we have some questions.
Yes, ma'am. Can you see me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have a drawing of my lot, and to explain about the drain fields, the leach lines, I had to move the garage where the garage is going in because the secondary leach lines were going there. So that's why I had to move the garage to the back. But what we did was we had the leach lines, the septic lines on each side, and the road is in between. So I am not driving over any of the septic lines at all. So I don't know if you can see this right here. Here's a drawing. Can you see that okay?
No.
No.
Okay. Is it any better?
Yes.
So this is a drawing. See, the red are the leach lines, and the pencil in between it that's where the gravel's at. So like I said, at no time am I driving on top of any of the septic lines. Also, the reason I had to set it back so far because I also still have to build a raised ramp into the garage area, and by the time I bring some more rock in, that's going to come closer to the septic, and I have to stay 10 to 15 feet away from the septic, which was the only condition. I can't build nothing around there. So that's why the front of the garage is going to be approximately 30 feet from the end of where the septic lines are at. So by the time I build another 10-foot line there, the gravel and stuff, 10-foot rock, that'll put me approximately 15 to 18 feet. So I think I'm playing it, playing it really, really safe because I don't want any problems with the septic lines.
Right, exactly. Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Does anyone else have questions or discussion?
There's an attendee, Vanessa
Okay.
Williams.
Charlie, would you like to swear her in?
And
Vanessa
what's the name
have
again,
done-
please?
Vanessa Williams.
Vanessa Williams, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Do you swear or affirm the statement you're about to give to be the truth to the best of your information and belief?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You would like to speak to us regarding this?
Yes, yeah, we own the property to the rear of Mr. Riviera, and we just wanted to confirm how tall the garage is going to be, and if there's going to be a living space above the garage.
Okay. Hello?
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, no, there is going to be no living space above the garage. That's just going to be just for garage purposes. It's a 30 by 30, and it's going to be 12 feet tall.
Okay, and it's going to be 22 feet from the back side of the property.
Well, that's what the property adjuster had estimated.
Okay, all right, that was our only question.
Okay, thank you.
Any
Madam
members?
Chair,
Yes.
I've got one question, if I may.
Sure.
On the application and the staff report, all I see is the rear yard 50 to 22. But I thought when Joe introduced this, he talked about a couple of sides, and on the drawing that's currently on the screen, it shows reductions on the two sides. So we're being asked for 3 variances, correct?
That's my understanding.
Okay, I just want to make sure I got that in the record. Thank you.
All right. Do we have any other discussion from the board? Do we have a motion regarding this application?
Make a motion that we approve S-2018-17. Is that right? Yeah.
Yes.
S-2018-17, taking into account the staff recommendations.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
That Barrett?
Yes.
Yes. All those in favor say aye.
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 Applicant S 2018-17 has been approved based on the recommendations of the staff, and you'll be communicated with regarding this.
Thank you. Thank you to the board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend, guys. Happy 4th of July.
You too.
Thank you.
You too.
Thank you. Based on the agenda, that's all the items we had. So, Mr. Perkins, I adjourn the meeting.
Excellent. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Happy
Thank you all.
4th, everybody.
Happy 4th, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.